There's a book that ends the Bible with fire, locusts, a dragon, a woman standing on the moon, and a city made of transparent gold descending from the sky. It was written around 95 AD by a man named John. He was not sitting in a library. He was sitting in a cave on a Greek island called Patmos, 60 miles off the coast of modern Turkey. The Roman Emperor Domitian had exiled him there, and what he wrote in that cave became the most analyzed, most argued over, most feared document in Western history. Before any horsemen or plagues, it helps to know who John was and why he was writing in code. The early Christian communities of Asia Minor were under serious pressure. The Emperor Domitian demanded to be addressed as Dominus et Deus, Lord and God. Christians who refused to make ritual sacrifices in his honor were arrested, imprisoned, or executed. 7 specific churches are named at the start of Revelation: Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamum, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, Laodicea. These were real cities with real congregations that John knew personally. The historian Elaine Pagels of Princeton has spent decades arguing that Revelation was resistance literature. Political code. The dragon is Rome. The beast is a specific emperor. And the number 666 is a cipher that any literate person in 95 AD would have recognized immediately. The main sequence begins with a scroll in the right hand of God, sealed by 7 wax seals. A figure described as a lamb with 7 eyes and 7 horns opens them one by one. The first 4 seals release what the text calls the Four Horsemen. The first rider is on a white horse. He carries a bow and wears a crown. He goes out conquering and to conquer. Whether this represents military conquest, religious expansion, or the spread of plague has been debated without resolution for centuries. The second horseman rides a red horse and carries a large sword. His role is to take peace from the earth so that men will kill each other. The third rides a black horse and holds a pair of scales. A voice announces the price of food: 1 denarius for a quart of wheat, 3 quarts of barley for the same price. A denarius was a full day's wage for a Roman laborer. 1 day of work buys enough grain to feed 1 person for 1 day. That is what famine looks like inside an economy. The text then adds that oil and wine should not be harmed. Historians of the ancient economy read that as deliberate. Luxury goods survive while staple crops collapse. The fourth rider is on a pale horse. In the original Greek, the word for pale is chloros, the same root as chlorine, a sickly green-white. His name is Death. Hades follows behind him. Together, these 4 are given power over 1/4 of the earth. The 5th seal reveals something unexpected. Under a celestial altar, there are souls of people already killed for refusing to renounce their beliefs. They ask how long until justice arrives. The answer they receive is, wait a little longer. Even in the middle of the apocalypse, the timeline is not given. That detail has bothered theologians for close to 2,000 years. The 6th seal, a massive earthquake. Every mountain and island shifts out of place. The sun turns black as sackcloth. The moon turns blood red. Stars fall from the sky like figs shaken from a tree. Every person on earth, from kings to slaves, hides in caves and begs the mountains to fall on them. What they're hiding from is described as the wrath of the Lamb, the same gentle figure that opened the seals. Before the 7th seal opens, there is a pause. 4 angels are ordered to hold back the 4 winds of the earth. A 5th angel arrives from the east carrying a seal, and 144,000 people are marked on their foreheads. 12,000 from each of the 12 tribes of Israel. They are specifically protected from what comes next. This detail tends to get skipped in most apocalypse discussions. The document carves out a protected group before releasing the main sequence. The text doesn't explain how that protection works physically. It states it and moves on. Then the 7th seal opens. There is silence in heaven for half an hour. 30 minutes of complete silence across the entire celestial realm. Then 7 angels receive 7 trumpets. The first trumpet. Hail and fire mixed with blood fall from the sky. A third of the earth burns, a third of all trees, every blade of green grass. The second trumpet. Something described as a great mountain burning with fire is thrown into the sea. A third of the sea turns to blood. A third of all sea creatures die. A third of every ship is destroyed. In 1994, a paper published in Earth and Planetary Science Letters modeled the physical consequences of a large asteroid impact in the deep ocean. The impact vaporizes millions of tons of seawater instantly. The steam and sulfur dioxide reach the stratosphere. The ocean's surface turns red from iron oxide reactions. Several planetary scientists have cited Revelation 8 in papers on impact modeling as a description of the same physical process. The third trumpet. A star named Wormwood falls from the sky and poisons a third of the world's freshwater. Rivers, springs, everything that people drink. In April 1986, the Chernobyl reactor exploded in Soviet Ukraine. The Ukrainian word for wormwood is Chornobyl. The reactor sat in a region where the plant grows wild in the fields. Within 48 hours of the explosion, that linguistic connection was circulating in religious communities across the United States and Europe. The overlap was almost certainly coincidental. It got people's attention in a way that lasted for years. The fourth trumpet. A third of the sun loses its light, a third of the moon, a third of the stars, each one dimmed by exactly a third. That translates to 8 hours of every day with no light at all. In a world already dealing with burning forests and poisoned rivers, before the fifth trumpet sounds, two witnesses appear. The text says they are given authority to prophesy for 1,260 days. 1,260 days is exactly 3.5 years. That number appears repeatedly in Revelation at critical moments. The two witnesses have the power to stop rain, turn water to blood, and call down plagues as often as they choose. When anyone tries to harm them, fire comes from their mouths and destroys the attacker. At the end of the 1,260 days, the beast kills them. Their bodies lie in the street of a great city. For 3.5 days, people from every nation watch their bodies and celebrate. Biblical scholars have spent decades on that phrase. In 95 AD, the only way every nation could simultaneously observe something would require a miracle. In 2025, it requires a smartphone. The fifth trumpet opens a bottomless pit. Smoke pours out and darkens the sun. Out of the smoke come locusts. They are forbidden from harming any plant. Their target is human beings who don't carry the seal of God. They cannot kill. They can only cause pain, described as the sting of a scorpion, and they do it for 5 months. The text says that during those 5 months, people will actively seek death and be unable to find it. Death runs from them. The sixth trumpet releases 4 angels who had been bound at the Euphrates River. They command an army of 200 million mounted troops that kill a third of the remaining population. In 1965, when China announced military figures approaching that scale for the first time, American evangelical publications cited this passage directly. At this point in the sequence, over half the Earth's population is dead. The survivors are living in a world with partial sunlight, burning forests, contaminated rivers, and a locust swarm that cannot be killed. Then, Revelation 13 introduces the beast. He rises from the sea with 7 heads and 10 horns. One of the heads has a wound that should have been fatal. It healed. The whole world follows him. He is given authority over every tribe, people, language, and nation for 42 months. A second beast rises from the earth, performs miracles, and directs the world to worship the first. Then comes Revelation 13:18. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. In Hebrew numerology, a system called gematria, every letter carries a numerical value. The name Neron Kaiser, the Greek transliteration of Nero Caesar, produces exactly 666 in Hebrew gematria. A Dead Sea Scroll fragment discovered in the 20th century contains an alternate spelling of that name that produces 616. Some early manuscripts of Revelation use 616 instead of 666. Both spellings, same person. Since then, the passage has been applied to Napoleon, to Stalin, to Hitler, and to a rotating cast of modern figures in every generation. The math has never worked cleanly for any of them. The final battle assembles at Armageddon, in Hebrew, Har Megiddo, the mountain of Megiddo. An actual location in northern Israel, a broad plain in the Jezreel Valley where the surrounding hills funnel movement toward a single central point. The Egyptians fought there in 1457 BC at the Battle of Megiddo, the first battle in recorded history documented in detailed tactical notes. Pharaoh Thutmose III left a carved account at the Temple of Amun in Karnak, including troop formations, the route of advance, and the outcome. The Canaanites fought there, the Assyrians, the Persians, the Crusaders. In 1918, British General Edmund Allenby defeated Ottoman forces on that same plain. Military historians call that 1918 battle the last major cavalry charge in the history of warfare. Napoleon visited the site in 1799 and reportedly called it the most perfect natural battlefield in the world. The battle in Revelation ends with fire from the sky and the beast thrown into a lake of fire. Then 1,000 years of peace. Satan is bound in a pit for a millennium, and the saints rule the earth. The numbers in the text are specific enough to do the math. The Four Horsemen kill 1/4 of the earth. At 8.2 billion people, that is 2.05 billion dead. The Sixth Trumpet Army kills 1/3 of what remains. That is roughly another 2 billion. Add the asteroid impact, the contaminated water, the trumpet plagues, and the conservative estimate for total deaths before Armageddon lands between 3.5 and 5.5 billion people. More than half the planet. The survivors are living with partial sunlight, burning forests, poisoned rivers, and a locust swarm the text says cannot die. After the millennium, a final judgment. Then a new heaven and a new earth. The first earth, the text says, passed away. A city descends from the sky. It is called the New Jerusalem. Its dimensions are precise, 12,000 stadia in each direction, which converts to approximately 1,400 miles wide, 1,400 miles long, and 1,400 miles tall. A perfect cube. The wall is 144 cubits thick. The 12 foundations are each a different gemstone. The 12 gates are each a single pearl. The streets are described as pure gold, transparent as glass. There is no sun inside because the text says God's own light fills it. John spends more words describing this city than he uses on all the horsemen and trumpet plagues combined. The destruction is the road. The city is where it goes. That distinction matters for understanding what the document actually is. The cave where John wrote this still exists on Patmos. You can fly there and walk into it. They call it the Cave of the Apocalypse. For 1,900 years, nobody has agreed on what the document means. Every generation finds something in it that looks like right now, which is either proof that it's describing something real or proof of how good human beings are at finding patterns in things. Probably both.